This Gordon Ramsay TV show is so much more brutal than Kitchen Nightmares.
I'm at the end of my rope.
Go on then, you pompous
We have to keep that locked,
Why?
otherwise the snow load comes off and kills people.
I'm gonna have to start all over again if this doesn't work.
Hello you gorgeous donuts. Today we're going to be covering Gordon Ramsay's Hotel Hell. We're going to break down its most brutal episode, which was actually so brutal they had to make it in 2 parts across 2 different episodes. For people that have never seen this show, the concept of it basically involves Gordon Ramsay travelling across the USA, visiting struggling hotels, motels and bed and breakfasts. And all of these are failing to a certain point and he attempts to kind of turn them around. It's basically the same concept as Kitchen Nightmares, but a lot harder, because obviously with Kitchen Nightmares he kind of just has to fix the restaurant, whereas with a hotel they have restaurants, they have bars, they have the thing of actually getting people to stay at the hotel. It's a lot more of a tougher job, and I believe this is why the show only really lasted 3 seasons rather than Kitchen Nightmares, which has loads of them. And everything about this show is just absolutely mental. Like, even the intro of it is just so dramatic. Why would you ever apply to be on this show when that's the intro of it? When I first seen this intro, I thought Gordon Ramsay was going to help hotels on the level of, like, you know, that hotel that's on American Horror Story where people are literally dying every single night at it. I was like, wow, the owner of these motels must be murderous. I want to see an episode where Gordon Ramsay goes to the Cecil Hotel. That would break the internet. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Gordon Ramsay has worked at many restaurants, so therefore he's well within his rights to, like, know how to fix other restaurants in Kitchen Nightmares. Like, what does Gordon know about fixing hotels? Well, he actually has a huge background in hotels, as he actually studied hotel management at North Oxfordshire Technical College, and he also worked as a chef at the Roxton House Hotel in Banbury. So as well as knowing how to run a hotel restaurant, he clearly knows how the whole hotel industry works overall. Now, the episode we're going to be looking at today involves a hotel called the Juniper Hotel, and this is claimed to be the worst hotel that has ever featured on the show, so I'm unsure if Gordon Ramsay is going to be able to put his qualifications to the test here and actually fix this one. Let's just get into it. So episode 1 of this 2-parter starts off with us getting introduced to the hotel, and when you look at the hotel, like, it looks really posh. Like, it was built in 1910, I believe. It looks like a place where, like, King Charles would stay. Do you know what I mean? It looks like over the top a little bit. We then get introduced to the owners of this hotel.
antiques dealer Robert Dean II and his boyfriend Ari Nicky bought the business 6 years ago.
Of course, the guy who owns this hotel is called Robert Dean II. That's just such a fitting title. Why is he trying to make out as if he's some sort of king calling himself the second? Like, loads of people are called after their dads. Do you really need to put a second behind you? Acting like he cuts the head off his partners when he's not happy with them.
The guests that we don't want here are people who don't have a lot of money.
Okay. Well, this guy's completely sound and very likeable. I can't wait to see him succeed in the world. Yeah, basically, all the brokies, we like to keep them out, you know. They've got a certain stench to them that we just don't want to kind of have in the hotel, if that's okay. If you smell like you shop at Aldi, we're not interested, okay? Thank you very much, but no thanks. Now, Robert puts on this front as if, like, he's a very successful person. However, the hotel is actually doing horrendously bad, and when Gordon shows up, they're actually at a point where they're having a record low of bookings. The chef and the waiting team say there's, like, a lack of leadership. There's zero leadership at all, really. And they say Robert has zero experience of running a hotel. He's literally learning everything on the fly. The staff are also very angry at Robert because he steals their tips, and also he doesn't pay them on time. Some people in the waiting team have their payments a month after they were due. And if this isn't bad enough, Robert consistently lets all of his friends stay at the hotel for weeks on end for completely free.
Robert believes this place is his playground.
Oh my god, just looking at that girl who's working as a waitress, she's doing like a customer service laugh. Can you imagine knowing the people you're serving aren't even paying for the food they're getting, and you're not getting paid to serve them? You'd be like, oh yeah, it's a really funny joke. I really wish I could cut out your tongue. It's one of them where she laughs and then she turns around and goes, God, them absolute dickheads.
They're having a hard time paying me because they give away all of their money and food to their friends, showing off, using this as their private castle.
That's really dark, because they're literally putting on a front to their friends that they're like millionaires and doing really well, whereas in reality they're not even paying their staff to work for them, the people that are literally keeping their business afloat. One of the team then tell us that the business is losing £200,000 a year. So not only are they lying to their friends that they're like millionaires and letting them stay for free, they're also losing money in the process.
Gordon is going to come into this place and say this place is fucked.
That's what I like to hear. Couldn't have hoped for a better start. Get in! Before Gordon arrives at the hotel, he does like some market research in the area, basically asking like shopkeepers' opinions and local people about what they think about the Juniper Inn. And the overall vibe of it that people say is it's a little bit like it's an exclusive club. Like if random people went there, they feel like they'd be judged or they'd feel like an outsider. I don't know if Robert is kind of aiming for this to be like the outcome of the place, but that just seems a little bit pretentious to me. Gordon then tries to get into the hotel, but the front door's locked.
It's locked. That's not very welcoming.
That's to keep the poor people out. Thank you very much, Gordon. You've got to show your tax return on arrival, actually. If you're not in the 40% bracket, no entry. Okay, we don't let your kind on these grounds, thank you very much. It's funny because they've actually barricaded the door. They really, really don't want people like us entering this place, do they? I feel like they really don't. They're acting as if they're in like an apocalypse. But instead of zombies, it's just people that kind of shop in the middle aisle of Aldi, you know?
This is actually our entrance, and in the winter, because of snow, we have to keep that locked, otherwise the snow load comes off and kills people.
Okay. Well, that's not a safety hazard at all. I really can't believe that this place hasn't got more bookings when there's a chance that as you enter the front door, you could be murdered. That seems like a great experience. That's something to get the blood flowing before you get a cocktail down your neck. That's what I want from my hotel. Sometimes if we see people wearing unbranded clothing, we'll push the snow off a little bit quicker, you know, just to give them a little help on the way out. Gordon then takes a little look around the Juniper Hotel and already there's so many red flags. Like, Robert has so many rooms filled with vintage antiques that are apparently one-of-one pieces, which you're going to see later in this video maybe might not be true. And it also begs the question, like, how can you have all of these expensive antiques as you are an antiques dealer, but you can't afford to pay your staff? Like, it just, things aren't really adding up here. I know you can't feed your family this month, Stephen, but have you ever seen a pig wearing a sombrero? Right, there you go. That'll cheer you up. Like, looking around this place, it genuinely looks like he's just raided the local TK Maxx. You know, where they just have the weirdest ornaments ever. It's like a monkey playing the cymbals whilst on a surfboard. It's like, why would I need that? But I kind of do.
Well, we have 3 rescue pot-bellied pigs.
You have 3 pigs here?
Right.
What? Sorry, you have 3 pigs just living here? What, are you hiding them from the big bad wolf? Why do you have 3 pigs here? Even the pigs are living a better life than the waiting team.
Big chair here is for one.
Just kind of, we're known as a romantic destination, and...
Move it in for me, please.
Yes.
The reason you've got a sofa on one side of a table is because you're known as a romantic destination. Really? What, do people look at that sofa and go, oh my god, I just need to rip my partner's clothes off right now. Oh, is anyone else feeling this? Sitting on that sofa is actually the equivalent of taking 4 Viagra pills, apparently. I don't even know what would happen if you took that many. Like, would it just fall off? What am I talking about?
3 U.S. presidents have dined here.
Oh, really? Which ones?
Did he say died or dined?
3 U.S. presidents have dined here.
Oh, dined. Okay, sorry. I thought they just tried to enter through the front door.
Okay, so that's the dining room.
Well, we have 2 dining rooms.
God.
To be fair, it is absolutely packed. Like, I don't know if Gordon's going to get a seat here. Hopefully they've got him one reserved because it's going to be a tough one. Straight away, you can kind of see that Robert is very much like a person that tries to impress people. Like, already he's mentioned that presidents of 8 here. Like, who cares? Like, if I was looking for a restaurant to pick and somebody had said that Keir Starmer's 8 here, I'd be like, that genuinely, I don't care. Keir Starmer running the country, that's what I care about. I don't care about his opinion on sushi. The more I look at Robert, like, being in this, like, what looks like a castle, he must be like Gen X's version of Jacob Elordi in Saltburn. And then Gordon Ramsay's his little Barry Keoghan. That's the plotline I'm running with here. Robert then reveals that him and his partner Ari have put over $1 million into making this place a success, which is just crazy because I don't know about you, but unless I had like a huge knowledge in a certain sector, how could you put that much money into it without knowing what you're doing? The only reason they're putting this much money into this place is to appear that they're successful. But when is it like too much? Like when you're going into hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt just to impress other people, is it really worth it at that point? Like if this guy just didn't care about other people's opinions, he'd be £1 million richer right now. Gordon then gets shown to his chambers where he'll be staying.
This is a beautiful room, but what is that smell? Seriously? Oh my god, it smells like sewage.
Oh, God. Yeah, we forgot to mention you're actually sleeping with the 3 rescue pigs, Gordon. But enough about the waiting team. Am I right? It's just so funny because apparently, like, this place absolutely honks, yet they charge $350 per night to stay here. I'm not gonna lie, like, everything about this hotel just seems like a safety hazard. Like, how do I not know that this, I don't even know what this is, but how do I not know that if I rock the bed, it's gonna fall on me and kill me? That'll put a straight dent in your head. I'm gonna be looking like Sloth off the Goonies, and I've paid 350 quid for the service. This genuinely looks like a place where an exorcism would take place. Like, what are these three crystals just staring at you? Gordon then actually asks to move room because the smell is that bad, and then he asks if he can try the lunch menu. However, Robert says that they don't actually serve lunch at this hotel, which Gordon is like baffled by. Now, in my opinion, I've been to quite a few hotels where they don't actually serve lunch, like they serve breakfast. Sometimes an evening menu, but mainly like most hotels will give you breakfast. So I wasn't as shocked by that, but I guess for the price you pay, you probably do expect that the would serve lunch. However, Robert says he's going to make an exception and then tells the chef that Gordon wants lunch just abruptly.
What am I supposed to do with that information?
Already just such a huge major red flag. Like, the chef's probably prepping for the evening service. What is he meant to do with that? If they don't have a lunch menu, what's he meant to cook them? And nothing will be prepared. Like, how is he meant to, what's he meant to just pull like a sandwich out of his arse? To be fair, if he could do that, right, then he deserves to get his payment on time. Whilst waiting to try the food, Gordon talks to Barbara, who was part of the waiting team here, and he basically asks her, like, why does she think that the business is failing?
So what do you earn a fortnight?
I made $6,000 this year.
Oh my god, that is really, really bad, and just shows that Robert and Ari take advantage of these people, probably for their kindness, because she seems like a really kind person. And even when she was mentioning to Gordon that she's not getting paid on time, she like lowers her voice because she probably doesn't want to hurt their feelings, especially when we learned in the intro that Robert takes the tips from people that pay. I know in America, like, tipping culture is a lot bigger than it is in the UK, and a lot of waiting staff like heavily rely on tips to afford things. And I don't know how many hours Barbara works, but earning £6,000 in a year, like, that's not enough. That's probably not even enough for our rent, for her to even live, especially with this being a full-time job. Like, that's got to be illegal. Gordon then reads the menu and nothing has a price on it. They basically say that if you have to ask for the price of it, you shouldn't really be here in the first place because you can't afford it. I despise places like this because they're just pretentious for like no reason at all. Like, just put the price on. Why are you trying to be quirky? I don't care how rich you are, if you don't look at the price of something, in my opinion, that's just stupid because you're just pissing money away. I remember when I lived in London, I went to this place because somebody like wanted to go there. It was called Soho House. It was one of these places where, like, to even get through the front door, you've got to have like been invited by two people who also have like a card to be a part of this place, like a proper like exclusive kind of club. And I remember just sitting down to get something to eat and looking around and going, wow, this place is just full of arseholes. I've never been surrounded by so many arseholes in my life. And I've shit in many a public bathrooms, I'll tell you that for nothing. I even remember the person that I went with, like, he asked if he could order for everyone, like he said he knew what was good here. And I was like, no, if you want to order something that you like, you order it. I'll order what I want. Like, what's happening here? Has everyone just forgot the rules of going out to eat something? God, that actually really wound us up. Sorry, I'm offloading trauma here. And also, like, there was a pool at this place. I'm like, why is there a pool? I just want to eat something, have a drink, and go home. Why is there people swimming? What is this? Genuinely, one of the weirdest experiences of my life, and I never want to go back, ever. But you just pay over the odds for, like, stuff that isn't even that much better than, like, Wetherspoons. I'd much rather go to Spoons every single day in my life. 2 pitchers for 15 quid, count us in. Gordon then asks how much the food actually is, and he's shocked at how much Robert tells him it is.
We haven't identified the appropriate people to come here, people who can afford $59 for 3 courses.
Appropriate people? What a snob.
Appropriate people? What a snob! I love Gordon Ramsay. He's just so cutthroat. It's perfect. When he says, like, you haven't identified the appropriate people, those people are out there, but the reason they pay, like, a bit extra is because the food is probably really nice at these places. Like, I don't mind if I'm, you know, for a treat, for a birthday, you go somewhere a bit nicer and you pay a bit extra, but you know it's because the quality is really good. Robert's serving, like, basic things and then just charging over the odds for it and appearing to be posh. You can't do that. That's just ripping people off. It's just so obvious that Robert is crippled by other people's opinions and he needs to appear to be successful in other people's eyes. Like, every single time he speaks, there's always, like, little subtle brags in it, especially when he's talking about him living in the RV that's outside.
How much was that?
over $100,000. It is a motor coach, which is the higher end version of an RV.
Oh, we don't live in an RV. We live in a motor car. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care. It's an RV. It's like he can't deal with being just normal in a way. He has to appear better than people. Because Robert is so stubborn and he just seems like he's not going to change. I don't know if Gordon can actually help this place, and especially that this episode or this hotel is stretched over 2 episodes. It makes me think so much more drama's going to come. Gordon then reviews the food from the Juniper Hotel and hates it with a passion.
And $20 for that. He's as cheap with his crab cakes as he is with his staff.
Robert then kind of just alleviates all responsibility for the food and just blames the head chef. And Barbara says they actually used to have a really good head chef, but she left because she wasn't getting paid on time. And she was actually paying for the supplies for the restaurant out of her own back pocket. Imagine like a head chef having to pay for the ingredients and they're not even getting paid themselves. It's mental.
The chef bought produce on her credit card.
She did everything. She was the best.
And also, how do you expect your business to be a success when you're literally mistreating your waiting staff? Like, why would they ever go out of their like comfort zone to like make sure the guests have the best time possible? They're just going to be so unmotivated because no matter what they do, they're probably not even going to be paid at the end of the month. Now, the worst part of the food that Gordon gets is the $74 dessert, which is basically a cake that's been cut in half.
And where's the other half gone?
It goes to another person who orders.
Oh no, I want my other half. $74.
The worst part is Gordon actually likes it, and then Robert tells him, oh yeah, we actually just order that in from like a shop, like we don't actually make that. So they're charging $74 for a cake that they don't even make themselves. They probably bought it for £1. They're just ripping people off. They're just charging a premium price just because they can, not because they need to.
Julian, in my opinion, is not living up to his potential as a chef. He will try to cut corners.
I will tell you why Julian will cut corners, because he's not even getting paid. I would too. If I'm at a job and I don't know if I'm going to get paid for my service, I'm not going to go out of my way to make it as good as possible. I'm going to cut every single corner necessary. So I've got more time to just sit on me phone or whatever I want to do. Gordon then gathers all of the staff and basically has a rant towards them.
What do you earn a week, if you don't mind me asking?
Before taxes, 400.
If you're not happy with your work environment, you should leave.
There's literally zero empathy from Robert at all. The guy's literally living in an £100,000 RV, motorhome, outside, and this guy can't even afford to live. The guy who's literally keeping his restaurant open by being the head chef. And then he has the cheek to, like, say previously, oh yeah, he's not working up to his full potential. Yeah, no shit, mate. This is wild.
These are their livelihoods. This is your responsibility.
Can you imagine working here, though? Like, in every single day, you've got to go past these, like, antiques that are apparently worth thousands of pounds, and you don't even get paid. It must be so dystopian, and it must make you feel just so, like, confused. And I know some people watching it'll be like, oh, well, why don't they just find another job? But it's not always, like, as easy as that, especially if you're, like, stuck in your ways. Like, the people that work here seem a little bit older. They might have worked here for, like, years. It's not always easy to just transfer, especially when, you know, working here isn't exactly a glowing report to have. One thing I really respect about Gordon Ramsay when he's filming these shows is he really goes, like, above and beyond to actually help these people, no matter how, like, you know, bad they are. He decides to set up a meeting with the previous head chef that worked at the Juniper Hotel and basically asks her why she left and what's wrong with the place. She basically confirms that she was paying for the ingredients that came into the restaurant. She also confirms that Robert is stealing money from Barbara and all the other waiting staff.
And then if he had a private party with all his friends, he didn't tip them.
You're kidding me.
No.
So not only was he just letting his friends just eat for free, his friends didn't even tip them. What? Like, they're not friends. They're people that are just using you because they know that they can. Gordon then asks if she's willing to come back to help the restaurant become a success, and she says that she will never ever set foot in them doors ever again. So it shows they've left on pretty bad terms for her to say this, especially when she worked there for over 5 years. It's now time for the first evening service since Gordon arrived, and he basically goes around all the waiting team and asks them about working here.
We're lacking paychecks on time.
You don't get paid on time either.
No. Noelle purchased guest checks for us today so that we've been using scrap pieces of paper.
This is wild. Like, how is he appearing to everyone else as if he's like this rich millionaire and he's just treating his staff? He's not even getting them order checks. He's letting them write on scrap pieces of paper, for Christ's sake. Imagine you go to this place and someone's just taking your order on like a scrap piece of like a utility bill. You'd be like, I don't think we should eat here. Gordon then gets shown around the cellar.
Stereos, wine racks, quilts, chairs, tables.
Bro, this has literally got more chairs than Wembley. Why is there so many chairs? They could literally sell all of this and pay their staff for months. Gordon then gets shown around the office, which is just like, it looks like a war zone.
This is the office.
This is the office.
You're kidding me.
Not at all.
Oh my God.
No wonder that they're just like losing money. Like all of these bills, etc., are just kind of hiding here and then just kind of forgotten about. Also, if they cleared this room out, they could like make this a bedroom for themselves so they don't need to sleep in the motorhome outside. But they just can't be arsed. Gordon then gets introduced to the pigs. Sorry, he's already met Robert and Ari, hasn't he? Sorry.
Bloody hell. So the owners live out, the pigs live in.
Why is the pigs bad? There's more pigs than customers. That's when you kind of got to realise your business probably isn't that much of a major success and you should cut ties with it. There's even multiple storage containers that just have like loads of antiques in them.
I mean, honestly, wow, I'm in shock. You know that.
Surely there's got to be enough money in there to cover like the employees' wages. You could literally stick that all on eBay or like give it to like an antiques dealer to sell on your behalf. I have no idea why they're just keeping them in storage containers. Now at this point in the show, Ari, Robert's partner, has like refused to be filmed, like he's not been shown at all. But we finally get an interview with him and he says that the £1 million that's been plowed into the business is actually from him. And so far he's had $0 returned.
It was all my severance packages, my income that when I was working, and then my retirement plans.
That's actually really dark. You know, I don't know. Obviously this is a grown man and he should make his own decisions with his money. But he probably loves Robert a lot, and the fact that Robert has took $1 million of his savings and put it into something where he has no idea if it's going to be a success or not, just to kind of make his ego better that he owns this big sort of hotel thing. You know, that's traits of manipulation, and it's not something you do to somebody that you love. If I was going to take £1 million of my partner's money, if they had that, I would need to know that the thing that I'm going to do has the best chance of being successful. Because this guy, obviously, you know, he's retired at this point. He's worked his entire life and now he's got nothing to show for it because all his savings have just been burnt like that. Just quickly, guys, I want to stop this video to say, make sure you press the subscribe button. Do it. I'm watching you. Right? Press the button. Go on. I know you've got it in you. Then you'll be a part of the best community on the internet. This corner of the internet we call the Donuts, where you've got plenty of videos like this to binge watch when you're bored. Go on, treat yourself. It's now time for the evening service to start, and Gordon brings an influx of customers into the Juniper Hotel to see how everyone copes with it. And straight away, this kind of exposes how little Robert knows about running like a kind of restaurant service, as he sits everybody down and takes their orders all at once. So basically, the chef has got no time to kind of like ease into it.
Who said everybody at once like this? We don't know about pacing.
He's overwhelmed for the start. Like, how is he meant to start on 30 orders when it's basically just him? And because of this, obviously no food is coming out straight away. So to kind of soften the blow of this, Ari has given the guests like some sort of art lesson.
What is it? Come on, everybody has to know what that is. It's a handbag.
I tell you what, Ari. I tell you what, son. You tell us, and I'll tell you if you're right. Go on. Right, there you go. You take the stage. Mate, I don't care. I've came here to have some drinks and to eat. Why are you trying to give us an art lesson? Also, like his tone, where he's like, come on, you've got to know what that is. No, mate, I don't give a shit about art. I just want some prawns. Is that okay? These people are just so pretentious and believe they're better than other people. If I wanted an art lesson, I would go to the Louvre, okay, where I can see the Mona Lisa. I don't want to see an elephant with naked people on top of it. I've got no interest in this. God, it feels like I was there. I'm so angry at this. Gordon then confronts the entire team about the food that is leaving the restaurant as it's awful.
This goose liver is burnt to a cinder. I know we're in the shit and we're busy. Food's dying in the window.
Like, is that the only bit of meat that they get with this? This is the equivalent of like one meerkat in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. Why is there so many leaves but no meat?
You can talk to him, he's your fucking chef.
Well, when I try to communicate, he says, yeah. No, I can't do it.
No, he doesn't.
Also, like, have you ever, like, seen chefs working? They're angry, right? Their stress levels are, like, up here. They're constantly at boiling point. Yeah, they shout. Yeah, they scream. But you don't take it personally. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're just stressed and they just want stuff done.
I have been asking. I said, where does this chicken
So ask him again.
Look at Barbara's face. She has waited a lifetime to hear somebody talk to Robert like this. It's such a weird dynamic between the head chef and Robert because Robert won't even look at him. Like, it's almost like, if anyone that's seen Gavin and Stacey, there's like this meme of a fishing trip where like Uncle Bryn and Jason, like something went on where they were like sleeping together, possibly naked, and then they can't like look each other in the eye. This is the same concept here. They're just like looking at each other like... It's so weird, the dynamic. I need to know what's happened between these two. Are they fondue behind Ari's back? Something's going on that they're not telling me. Has he been spending a couple of nights in the motorhome? I need to know. By the way, I have no faith that Robert is going to turn this round in the second episode. I literally... the guy hasn't got a clue. The entire service is an absolute disaster, and Gordon gathers everyone in the room to talk about it and basically confront them about it.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I am the boss.
You can't call yourself the boss if you don't fucking pay them.
Why did he stop people talking just to say, excuse me, I am the boss? All right, mate. Yeah, have you just realised? He had nothing worthy to say.
I don't have a secretary, Gordon. I'm sorry. I have to have peaceful time in order to do my work.
Are you...
Sorry, what? Your excuse for not paying your staff is that you don't have a secretary? What? I can imagine when his staff are confronting him about not being paid, he's like, oh, talk to my secretary. And then they're like, but there is no secretary. Exactly.
So they're fucked.
They don't have to work here.
Oh my God.
You know, the bottom line...
But then if they don't work here, what's going to happen? Like, nobody's going to want to work for you, ever. And also, like, the level of waiting staff you can attract when you're not even paying them over £6,000 a year to work full time. No, like, you're not going to get anyone of any quality because they're going to go where their time is, like, actually valued.
How dare you?
This is like being in a relationship, right? And like your partner treating you absolutely terribly. And then them going, well, you don't need to be with us. It's like, but just treat me like a human being. Just why can't you just talk about this and treat me like I actually have feelings?
Disrespectful, disgusting man. They don't have to work here. I don't think... You're not the Lord of the Manor, and you're not the Great Gatsby. You're Robert.
Sorry, that is such a good line. You're not the Great Gatsby. You're just Robert. Oh. God. That's just a proper... Oh. Knife in the back. I think that line would have hurt him the most.
Excuse me.
Go on then, you pompous fuck.
Sorry.
What's wrong with...
Wait. Look at Ari's reaction here.
Pompous fuck?
No, you've been done when even your partner's laughing. Oh, Gordon's insults.
I want to know what's
Don't
wrong with...
speak to me like
Well, I'm
that.
telling you. Get your head out your ass and start getting a little fucking real.
I never understand, in all of the Kitchen Nightmares episodes and in this series, why do these people ask for Gordon's help to save their business, then when he gives them the help, they tell him he's wrong. I will never ever understand it. This is what you asked for. You literally applied to be on the show. When have you ever watched one of these episodes and Gordon comes to your hotel or your restaurant and goes, actually, I've got no idea why this isn't working, this is great? Never, because that would be terrible. This man just has zero empathy for anybody but himself. Now, this is the entirety of the first episode. Normally in like a Gordon Ramsay show, the first 20 minutes is the bad bit and then the rest is kind of focusing on fixing it. This is just 40 minutes of just terrible things constantly happening. I'm unsure if he's going to be able to turn this around in episode 2. Let's get into it. So episode 2 starts off with one of the main main workers at the Juniper Hotel, basically saying that Robert and Ari are buying friends. They basically let new acquaintances stay at the hotel for weeks on end, and some of them have racked up a bill up to £10,000 and they don't pay it. Meanwhile, they can't afford to even pay their staff $400 on time. And apparently when customers do actually pay and when they do tip the workers, Robert will clock in near the end of the shift so then he can take a percentage of the tips for himself. Again, this is just so unempathetic and just really shows how much he really just does not care about stealing from his workers. Every thought that Robert has so far is just about how he can make things benefit him, no matter how much it affects other people. Gordon then goes to the RV to confront Robert about this.
49 rooms were given out for free. What the fuck are you doing?
I thought I needed to have somebody here to have more energy.
Bullshit, calling it now. Also, the fact that your friends didn't tip the waiting staff when they were also getting everything else for free, they're not friends. They're people that are taking advantage of you and they're just walking all over you. Like, you're trying to appear to be one of them. I imagine they're also these rich kind of people that are quite pretentious. Why? Like, is this what really makes you happy? Like, pretending to these people who you probably don't even like to get their validation? Robert then says that he thought his friends did at least tip his workers, which obviously Gordon tells him that they didn't. And Gordon makes him ring these friends that turned up to ask them about the tipping.
It's Robert. You stayed here recently. I was under the impression that you and Greg left a tip. Did you leave a tip?
The little bastard! Every single opportunity Robert gets to palm off the blame for something, he does it. Like, this man literally stole the entirety of the tip for himself and thought that nobody would find out about it. And when he's like kind of went to his friend, because in his own mind he's probably convinced himself he didn't do this, they've just exposed him for it. The man is just full of lies, and the lies don't stop. You're going to see further into this episode that it gets worse and worse. I just don't get why he's invited Gordon Ramsay and a camera crew here, because surely he knew that they're going to film everything and he's going to be exposed so heavily. And all of these friends that he thinks that he has are going to watch this and realise that he's a fraud.
Did you tip the staff? Because they're telling people that they haven't been tipped.
I left the money with you.
Oh, so I need to do that.
Oh, you didn't tip. Oh, so I need to actually pay my stuff now, do I? Oh, some friends not paying my bills for us. The last time you stay in the stinky room, son. Robert then shows us some emotion for the first time, but I believe it's not because he actually feels like bad about it. I feel like it's because he's finally been exposed.
I feel as if I'm at the end of my rope. I'm gonna have to start all over again if this doesn't work.
Yeah, we feel nothing, sir. There's dry eyes in my house tonight. Not a single tear is shed for you. Look, like, looking at it from his point of view, which is very, very difficult, this man is clearly, like, very crippled with having to impress other people, and it suffocated him so much that he's willing to lie and cheat his way out of every situation just to get validation from people that don't necessarily even really like him. And I feel like now this has finally hit a point where this could be like a rock bottom in a way, where he kind of rebuilds himself up to actually switching his morals up and hopefully treating people how he would like to be treated. This arguably could be a turning point, hopefully. Now, Gordon, because he actually wants to help, does return to the Juniper Hotel, and basically he comes back with a plan to gather up all the antiques that are just in storage, that aren't on display, that aren't being used, that are just being hoarded. He puts them all in a room and gets Robert to agree to sell them, and when Robert does agree, he brings in an antiques dealer who comes to value them. Now, Robert tells Gordon that the overall worth of all of these things will be around 200, 300, 400,000 £1,000, and it'll mean they can cover costs for the Juniper Hotel for months. However, the valuation person has a very different idea of how much everything's worth.
What you have here doesn't read as a collection to me. It's kind of an accumulation. Or if they are of the period that they're supposed to be, there's some condition issues. About 25,000.
What? Are you kidding us? I have never seen such a bigger bullshitter in my entire life. This guy, like, claims to be an antiques dealer. You're not an antiques dealer. You just buy old things. There's a difference. You just have loads of worthless things. Those two horses that look like they're kissing in the background, they're not even worth a tenner. Robert told Gordon they were worth around £300,000. They're not even worth £25,000. This is going to be such a crushing moment for Robert because he's always, like, said throughout the episode that if everything fails, he can sell all of his antiques. Now he can't. Gordon then tells Robert that he's basically knackered and this is like the end point for him, like if he wants to continue or not. However, they both agree that they're gonna try one last time to turn this all around. Now, as I previously mentioned, Gordon brought in an influx of guests to basically review the place, and he even brought in a secret hotel inspector who's a professional who literally does this as a job, and he basically says the place is awful. And you can see with the response from Ari, it looks like he doesn't even really want this place to be a success.
Why are you running an inn? You look like you don't give a shit.
I would love this to be our private home.
So basically, one of the two men that are running this place doesn't want guests. That's probably got something to do with why you're not getting many of them. He literally said, I just want this to be my house. Why are people keep coming through the door and asking for drinks? That's basically what he said in a couple of words. And it does make us feel something towards Robert, which I haven't felt throughout this entire episode. He is really kind of balancing this all by himself and has very little support from Ari. I know well, I say very little. He's been giving him loads of money, but I'm talking about emotional support, etc. It doesn't seem he's really there for him at all. Moving on from this, Gordon creates a brand new menu for the chef to cook, which is actually half the price of the original menu, so they don't need to rip people off anymore and are actually producing quality food. And Gordon actually pranks Robert by saying that he's cooked it because he knows that Robert will tell him that it's good, but in reality, it's actually the head chef that's cooked it, who Robert just can't see eye to eye with.
I didn't make any of this. Julian cooked everything.
I felt at that very moment that I had done Julian a disservice.
How? By not paying him? Or not talking to him? Or blaming him for everything? Which one? Which one are the three here, Robert? For some reason, he just doesn't want to give any compliments to him, and I'm unsure what that reason is. It seems like something's gone on, which we're just not getting told here. But this is the first sign of progress. Now they've been given a new menu, and Robert and the head chef are actually on speaking terms. And this seems to be a huge momentum shift, as Robert actually seems a lot more motivated and actually seems to be caring for his staff now. He's realised that, miraculously, they're real people, not just these people that just live to serve you. He even tells them that he appreciates them for the first time and says that they'll never have a late paycheck ever again, even though he hasn't hired a secretary, so I'm not too sure how he's going to stay on top of that one.
I think there's a perception that we are these wealthy magnates coming in, Lord of the Manor sort of things. That's not who we are.
I believe what he says.
And I'm very proud of you, Robert. You're the man that I've always known and loved. He's coming back.
This actually makes us want to cry. These people are so nice. They're too nice to this man. This man has treated them like absolute dirt, and still they stay and want to help him. These are the sweetest people ever. It makes us so sad that they've been underappreciated for years. I know that if I possibly could have had another job lined up whilst I was working here, I'd be gone in an instant. One thing to note as well, it's like weird how good Gordon Ramsay is at turning businesses around. He just has such good people skills. Gordon then takes Robert into like civilization from the hill that they live on to see what a thriving place looks like in the community, because Robert has always blamed him not getting customers because people just don't have money to go out.
You are like a fish out of water right now, honestly.
No. Well, I love the people from our region. The Upper Valley is filled with amazing people.
No, you don't. No, you do not. You were ripping them off. You were cutting that cake in half and charging them $74 for it. You don't care about these people.
Wouldn't you welcome this atmosphere?
Oh yeah.
Stand on there and tell them you need them.
Oh no.
If I could have your attention, please. I'm Robert.
Somebody throw food at him.
We just want to tell everybody we'd love to have you all up at Juniper Hill Inn. We need the help right now, so...
They must all be thinking, oh, not that knobhead with his middle side parting. Oh, this is given such like teen movie energy. The fact he's just standing on a chair, just addressing everyone. There's something so funny about it that he thinks he's better than everyone and he's like above everyone, talking down to them as well. It's so fitting. But at least he is trying and pushing himself out of his comfort zone, which is like, you can't say that about Ari. Robert then actually opens up to Gordon and says about Ari that he's basically given up on the place, and they both agree that Ari needs to take like a back step and not be like shown to the customers. He can help in the background and offer support, but his overall vibe is very negative and actually quite aggressive, and it creates like a bad atmosphere that they just don't want when they're trying to rebuild the place. But this is the first time that Robert is actually just kind of alleviating some of the stress and kind of actually just appearing as a normal human being, which I think is a positive moving forward, and hopefully they can actually rebuild the Juniper to be a thriving business. I guess we'll just have to wait and see towards the end of this episode. They then return to the Juniper Hotel the next day, and Gordon has renovated the entire place free of charge. He's created this nice bar area. There's like a bar restaurant, then there's like a separate restaurant, just making it look like a place that you actually would want to go to. It's now time for their first ever lunch service after the renovation, or just in general because they didn't do lunch before. And there's this really awkward moment where Gordon basically confronts Ari and says, look mate, you need to kind of just take a back step here. We don't want you as front of house.
I thought you were going to leave the front of the house to Robert. You're not a natural innkeeper.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm not Ari's biggest fan, but he has said himself previously in this whole saga that his job is an innkeeper, and getting told that you're not a natural innkeeper, especially like this is your home that you own, you've ploughed all the money into this, and then getting told we actually don't really need your help with it, that's got to be hard to take. And although Ari looks like he's quite chill taking this news, you can tell that it's spilled over into how he's talking to people. He tries to assert his dominance for like such a weird reason over a member of staff.
Sophie, our poodle, she shouldn't be in there. I mean, it's a place where we eat. Come on, Sophie.
Excuse me.
Come on, come.
I take care of the dog. I am the boss, okay?
Don't ever talk to me that way again.
Like, she was just trying to get the dog out of the restaurant area, which is like a totally valid thing. Some people might not want a dog in there when they're trying to eat their food, especially when the dog's trying to eat their food. I think that's a valid thing to try and get rid of. He's just too aggressive with it. The way he speaks to people, I wouldn't want to be spoken to like that, especially if I worked for him, because I'm literally here to try and help you, especially when I'm not getting paid. I'm basically here out the goodness of my own heart. This member of staff is called Sarah, and she actually hides in her room and has been crying because of the interaction she's had with Ari. Gordon actually needs to find her because she's one of the biggest and most important member of staff.
I'm sick of being yelled at by Ari. I'm sick of it, Gordon.
When did he yell at you?
Just a few minutes ago because I asked him to take the dog out of the dining room.
Naturally.
It's just so obvious that Ari has did this as a way to kind of hit back. And also, Ari never speaks to Gordon like this. He always like only speaks like to his staff like this. It's almost as if he doesn't think he's better than Gordon, so for some reason he doesn't feel like he can talk down to him, but he really feels like he can talk down to his staff. He needs to kind of be pushed out of the business, unfortunately. Like, Gordon confronts Ari about this, and instantly he just apologizes and backs down. Like, there's no aggressive tone to it at all. He's just in the RV kind of hiding. Now, despite the drama with Ari trying to ruin things at the last minute, the service is going really well and the guests are really enjoying it, and the hotel inspector that previously came and said the place was terrible says the place is so much better now.
When you walked in, was it warm? Was there
it's great warmth. It has that time collection feel. You did a good job.
Enjoy lunch.
Get in! It's weird because when we've reacted to like Kitchen Nightmares episodes, or when we just in general react to shows, you feel like a love towards like a certain character in the show. In this saga, I don't really feel connected to Robert. Like, I like that he's turned it around, but it's just the bare minimum, really. Like, all he said is he's going to pay people on time, he's going to give them a wage they deserve, and he's actually going to try to make this work. Like, it's just very bare minimum stuff, and it's hard to kind of feel a connection with them, and definitely not with Ari. The only people you really have a connection with are the waiting team because they're just such nice people. Ari does actually apologise to Sarah and says, like, she was right about the dog thing and that he overreacted, so I guess that is nice for her to hear. And it seems like finally Gordon has managed to turn the tide of Juniper and has definitely changed the mindset of both Ari and Robert, as they actually feel so motivated to make this thing work now, and they're not being pretentious, they're not trying to rip people off, they're not caring about people's opinions who don't care about them. And because of this, Gordon decides that it's now time to leave and his work here is done.
Wow. Beautiful.
Now that this entire saga is over, I wouldn't really say they're in a great state since Gordon's left. Their mindset has been changed, and obviously they've had a renovation for no cost at all, and they'll get a little bit of business with the exposure the show brings. However, they're still in tremendous amounts of debt, and the financial aspect of the business is still failing massively, and this made me want to check if the Juniper is still open today, and I managed to find, like, some updates, so here they are. Many of the staff featured in the episode were no longer working at the hotel by the time the show aired, which makes me think that, you know, the conditions that they were under didn't improve. A new chef was hired for the restaurant. I don't know if they replaced the actual chef that was there or if they were just there to supplement them. Apparently the bookings were up, which is always a positive. It says the Yelp reviews were mixed after filming, highlighting poor levels of staffing and cleanliness issues, which, I mean, having 3 pigs downstairs, you know, that kind of shows you might not be the cleanest of hotels. But it says that the Juniper Hill Inn actually closed in April 2014 because there was debts of over 1.1 million. So like I said, when this episode ended, it's going to be very hard to get out of that debt because, like, even if they were full every night for a year, they're still going to be in tremendous amounts of debt. Like, it's going to take years to work that off. It says here that Ari was actually arrested in July 2015 for assaulting a police officer, which is, like, so surprising. Like, that man never came across as an aggressive person. You know, you really can't judge a book by its cover, guys. And it says here the hotel was actually bought by 2 other people for £400,000. So I guess that'll take a huge chunk out of the debt that they owe to somebody. It's like when they say the world's in debt, like the world's in trillions amounts of debt. It's like, to who? Who do we owe all this money to? To another planet? How can the world be in debt? So it's interesting whether you would call, you know, Gordon's time here as a success, because they were open until 2014, and the episode did air in 2012, so, you know, you could argue that they lasted 2 years after Gordon's arrival. Would they have lasted that without him? I doubt it. But it made me want to do a little bit of research into, was Hotel Hell actually successful in helping hotels? And apparently across all of the 3 seasons, 20 hotels were kind of helped in the process, and there was only 11 closures, which gives it an overall success rate of 45%, which I would actually say is, like, quite successful, because you've got to remember all of these restaurants are going out of business anyway, so Gordon's been able to help 45% of them. I would take that as a positive. And this is from today. This isn't like, you know, they were still open in like 2020, so this is like 10 years later. Gordon's definitely had such a good impact on these, and I was thinking for a video in the future, would you like me to kind of do a full breakdown of Kitchen Nightmares to see if the show was actually successful in helping those restaurants, because obviously there's so many and it might be an interesting video to do a deep dive into that. Let me know, like 7,000 likes on this video and I will do that. And if you want to see me review the worst ever Kitchen Nightmares episode Gordon Ramsay did, click this video right here or watch a brand new video from me right here.